Welcome back to another special edition of Cape Ann Today. Heather and I are joined by Gloucester Mayor Greg Verga once again to give us a quick update on spring and summer happenings throughout the city. How are you, Mayor Verga?
Doing great. How are you guys today?
Great. Good to talk to you again. Okay, right off the top, we are in the midst of Gloucester's 400th anniversary. What are some of the bigger things we should look forward to this summer?
Well, right now, if you drive around town, you'll see a lot of work going on with roads and sidewalks. If people go to the city website, they can see the list of what's planned so far for the rest of this fiscal year, which ends June 30th. And we have the order that we think they're going to go in, but that's subject to change. But that's what's been funded. So take a look at that. We're going to be doing a lot of cleanup, a lot of sprucing up around the parks and other open spaces. There'll be plenty of new trash bins put around town. Just trying to make the place look as good as we can for the 400th and beyond, because no sense in cleaning up once and leaving it after that. But there's a lot going on. Summer's going to be an exciting time, especially in this 400th. A lot of expanded events. The Schooner Fest is going to be bigger than ever. I can't wait to see what happens for Fiesta. But the beach reservation system, as you I'm sure are aware, was to say it was relatively successful would be quite an understatement. It was extremely successful last year. We have gone with a new vendor. There were some hiccups last year. I don't mean to pick on the former vendor, but 98% were a result of the vendor's issues and things going on behind the scenes with the software. So this new vendor is called Blink A. They will actually have an app that you can book your reservations. I guess the past vendor, the app, you could really just view what you already did online, but you couldn't necessarily go on and book your spot. So Blink A is going to be a huge leap forward as far as this goes. They're mostly in the European market, but this is their foothold in America. And I was pretty impressed with what they offer and what the dashboard behind the scenes looks like. Another thing related to beach reservations, we're looking at possibly, and I stress possibly, bringing back a limited number of non-resident beach stickers. I see the Rockport resident like raising her head there. um, so just something to keep in mind. We're seeing if we could work out the details for that. What else we have going on? Big thing, the honeymoon is over on the parking free passes. The kiosks are back in order. As we talked about many times, when I came into office, we inherited the kiosks, and as I also said at the time, but we take ownership of it. And it took a while to get them up and running to a point where we feel confident that the vast majority are in operating condition. We've got the app working fine, the coin, the credit payments are working. And it's back to the dashboard. We have now behind the scenes the dashboard where everything has been geolocated, so we can able to track and know where the problems are and where the repairs need to be made. So the last step is just to create the zones and have stickers put on each kiosk so you know what zone you're in. So if you're on the app, you can select the correct zone to add time to it. Another thing you'll notice around town near the kiosks is we've got signage for 2-hour limits for parking, which has been on the books for decades. The enforcement hasn't been able to happen with the new kiosk because of the lack of signage. So now that that's in place, there is a 2-hour limit, and we have what's called an anti-shuffling ordinance, which means you then have to move, I think it's at least 500 feet to another meter or to another spot. So that enforcement is going to be happening. So it's, as I said, the honeymoon's over.
Summer of
I
the
just
meter
didn't feel it
maid
was right for
returns.
us to be ticketing people so aggressively if we didn't have confidence in the meters. But as I said, we're finally at that point. So I never thought that there would be so much talk and focus on kiosks when I became mayor, but that has been just the case. So another exciting part about the summer is, of course, the beach season and people going to the beaches. But we know we have little visitors to the beach, the plovers or plovers, the little birds.
Mhm.
And we just signed it, literally just yesterday, I signed a contract with Mass Audubon, who is going to come in and sort of help manage the oversight of the birds. And, we thank the volunteers who've been doing this for years, but having a more professional the team in place is going to be very helpful for us. We've already got new signage and fencing going up, and it's people have to understand they are an endangered bird, and it could result in the state coming down and shutting down the beaches if we aren't careful. So it's really important that people are cognizant to where the birds are and where the people should not be.
Mhm.
So that's kind of it for. Oh no, another big one for summer planning. As we mentioned, the 400th. It's going to be a very busy season on the water, especially. The harbor master should be receiving his new patrol boat. The harbor master's station should be receiving the new patrol boat, as well as a second launch. That was a big thing that the Waterways Board had pushed for, was an additional launch, because the one we have was just one. So if it goes down, which it did, it really puts us behind the eight ball. But we definitely have the need for the second one running simultaneously. So we've got that backup if one goes down, but also we can handle the traffic with two of them going at the same time. So I think that's kind of it for, unless you guys have other summer things that are on top of your head, that's kind of the highlights of what I've got.
Well, I think citizens are going to be very interested in your energy fair, which is not exactly summer. It's coming right up. It's April 13th. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm going to put my glasses on so I can cheat and read the info here. So it's going to be right upstairs in the Carver's Auditorium, Thursday at 4 o'clock, Thursday, April 13th, 4 to 7. It's an opportunity for people to come and learn about discount rates, payment plans, with people from National Grid, budget billing. I've been doing budget billing since I first got my first apartment way back when. It's just a way to spread out your payments to a reasonable amount over the 12-month period. We're going to have partners there like Mass Save, Action Energy, Gloucester Housing Rehab and First Time Home Buyers Program info. Obviously, the Open Door will be there to talk about the SNAP program, Soy Free Library, and the Cape Ann Climate Coalition. So it's a good opportunity whether you're a renter or you're a homeowner. But just come down, because reducing our carbon footprint as a community as a whole is a positive thing. But ways you can save money by making your home, your apartment, your house, your condo, whatever, more energy efficient is something that's worth taking a couple minutes to stop by and ask questions and get some info.
So if for people to optimize their information from the fair, should they bring anything? Should they come prepared in any way?
It says I would say bring a bill, because that's been helpful, with other programs. Other than that, it's just just kind of your demographics, whatever kind of information you're going to need. But it's just an opportunity to get in there, talk to the people who are involved in these different things, and ask direct answers, direct questions, and get direct answers.
Okay, great.
So I'll be popping up, after actually Thursday. We're here late anyway, so I'll definitely pop up and check it out myself.
Yeah. That is Thursday, April 13th. April 15th, Greg, is the Vietnam Memorial Rededication at the Boulevard.
Yes. Yeah, that, and you're very familiar with it through your mother, so it's really something that I am so pleased about. When I first got elected, it was brought to my attention that there was a bit of a standstill on the project. I had a little peace summit here with the different factions. We talked about it, and basically I made it clear that I'm behind this. It's going to happen. So let's all work together. And it's people, if you haven't stopped by, definitely take a drive by next to the tennis courts on the boulevard. It is beautiful. I'm not sure if the benches have been put in yet. I haven't been by for a few days.
I think they were waiting for the rest of the road.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes. So the road there is being done. The sidewalk is being widened to, I believe, 8 feet. So that road that leads down to the covered. So we've got a lot going on there. I'm really pleased that with the outcome. I'm pleased that the veterans are getting recognized as they should be, and people should join us on the 15th, because this is something else. We didn't want to just. And not to say Mike Hale deserves a lot of credit for this, our DPW director. He didn't want to just move the monument from the high school to the boulevard and say we're done. It really needed something that was on the caliber of the World War II memorial across the street, and this achieves it. Because it has the benches and the pergola, so they can family and veterans can sit and just reflect, and it just looks great from top to bottom.
Yeah, they did a beautiful
All right.
job there.
Can you just say a little bit about what your mother did?
Well, it was just she meets with the Vietnam veterans all the time and talks. So it's just been in the planning stage for a long time, and working with the different contractors in the city just to follow it through and to honor the wishes of the veterans as well. I mean, because it's just it's a very delicate situation, and moving a memorial is a big deal, and it came out beautifully down there. So it'll be exciting.
Right. I mean, I think that's what, if you go back in time, before my time, the veterans weren't treated very well when they were leaving, and definitely when they came home. And you recall during the first Gulf War, there was a conscious effort from the government to say, support the veterans. If you don't support the war, at least support the veterans. And that was missed the first time around. So this is, let's see, the war ended in 75. This is almost 50 years later. It's a little late, but as they say, better late than never. So, but at least Gloucester here is recognizing our Vietnam vets and their contribution. So anyway, it's join us. It'll be a I don't want to say a good time, but it'll be a very long overdue time. It's time to I'm trying to find the right word. It's not celebrate. It's not a good time, but it's something that has to happen. And
Yeah,
I'm
profound.
So
It'll be a special day for sure.
Yes.
So, now, Saturday the 15th at 11 a.m. Right down there by the tennis courts, folks. You can't miss it. It is nice. Greg, do you want to talk about the city's Earth Day events or anything planned surrounding
Yes.
it?
So Earth Day is April 22nd, and we will be having the first official, gotta get the finger quotes up here, planting of a tree for one of the 400 trees for the 400th anniversary.
Oh.
You recall that, I believe it was last autumn, the Norwegian maple, which is an invasive species that was out here next to our flagpole, had split, and it was deemed unsafe and it had to come down. And so we made a decision that, okay, this spring we're gonna have to replace it. But then we realized that we've got this 400 trees for the 400, so it's the perfect opportunity to use that plan as well as the Earth Day celebration to have the official kickoff here in a public way to let people know that this is going on. And I believe that, so there's a lot of work being done through the 400th committee for the 400 trees. And I think they're looking for locations. So if people are interested and they can commit to caring for the trees, watering them, they may get the tree out of the deal. But we are a very old community, and we have a lot of trees, but we've lost a lot of trees. I mean, just in my own yard and the cemeteries next to me, the gypsy moth caterpillars and worms wiped out many, many, many trees. I mean, I lost probably 6 or 7 on my property, and then probably around me another dozen or so. So it's an opportune time to start replenishing our stock of trees, which helps with carbon sequestration as well.
Mhm.
So, and they're pretty.
Mayor, did you know what kind of tree they're planting for the 400?
I believe this one is going to be an oak, a white oak. I'll confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then also, you recall across the street at the library, they had to cut down that copper beech tree, which was diseased. They spent thousands of dollars and many, many months trying to save it. And so the library folk, took a lot of heat for that, but it was just beyond saving. So they will be replanting their tree, obviously after the project is done.
Right.
So,
Well, do you want to talk a little bit about the collaboration with with realtors in the community regarding private roads and ways?
sure. So we've been talking about private roads for quite a while. It was a big issue when I was knocking on doors, making phone calls during the campaign a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, many of our roads are private, and the city cannot legally spend public money doing major repairs to private roads. So I put together the working group we had talked about to look at what can be done. And right now, councilors Gilman and Nolan are putting through several modifications to ordinances through the Ordinances and Administration Committee, which ultimately will get to the full city council, that will enable us to do more or clarify what can be done. But the bottom line is we cannot spend public money on private roads for major repairs. But one of the issues I heard a lot was, I didn't even know I lived on a private road. I've been here for 40 years, or I just bought my house. I didn't know that. But when I was a realtor, and for the record, I do not practice real estate anymore. I don't do anything with real estate. I cannot, because the charter doesn't allow me. And plus, this is a lot more fun being the mayor than doing real estate. But I remember my days that whenever I would list a property, I would call the DPW and say, I'm listing a house on XYZ Street. Is it a public or private road? And because there is a checkbox in the MLS, multiple listing service website for status, public or private. A lot of realtors either leave it blank or just will automatically plug in public. And that could create a problem later on when your client finds out that it was indeed private. So we are working to help educate the realtors based in Gloucester and those outside of Gloucester who do business in Gloucester. Coincidentally, Eileen Duff, who's on the Governor's Council, is a realtor as well, and she's the current president of the North Shore Association of Realtors. So we had discussions. We had some folks from the association come in the office, and they had put together an educational flyer that they sent out to their members. So hopefully that will prevent the confusion going forward, that people buying their house from this day forth will know this is a private road and this is what it means. It's unfortunate that it really took us to get to sort of a critical mass of the roads being in such terrible condition before people realized what the actual deal was. So we're trying to do what we can, see what roads we can repair, do minor repairs to, see what roads are good candidates to possibly take as public roads. But the big one we've talked about is this betterment process where the neighbors get together and they work through the city and they can all chip in to do the repair to the road, that the city will manage it and spread out the payment over 10 or 20 years on their tax bill, as to make it a lot easier to absorb than just, here you go, you owe $10,000 for your cut. Yeah. And most road repairs are, not most, but some aren't as expensive as you think once you've broken it down where each member, each resident, each abutter is paying their share. So that if you do have questions, contact your ward counselor. It's mainly 1, 4, and 5. So it'd be Scott Memard in Ward 1, Val Gilman in Ward 4, and Sean Nolan in Ward 5. But there are a few exceptions downtown Ward 3 and 2. So Tracy O'Neill for Ward 2 and Frank Majota for Ward 3. So all those phone numbers, emails can be found on the city's website.
Lastly, Greg, do you want to touch upon municipal meetings? Are still going to be hybrid meetings into summer?
Yes. So what we have now is I had given the okay months ago that non-regulatory boards, say like the cemetery committee or something, or city hall restoration, those boards could choose to stay Zoom, or they could choose to go in person without Zoom. I've required the regulatory boards such as planning board, zoning board, waterways, they have to remain in Zoom because I want to make sure that A, it's recorded, and B, we didn't want to cut off the participation. Participation has been extremely high for all of these boards and commissions, as well as the city council in school committee to some degree, since we went to Zoom. Ideally, we want to get to the point where it's full hybrid, where you can either sit at home and participate remotely, or you can go in person. And right now we're we're in the process. We've got the equipment on order and the laying out a plan for when we do an installation to get City Hall Kairos Auditorium set up as a full hybrid meeting space, the conference room here at City Hall, as well as the great room at the Rose Baker Center and 1 or 2 of the smaller rooms at Rose Baker. And then I've also talked to the superintendent about figuring out which school buildings they want to have set up, because school committee, I made it clear, we've got to get back in person too. The harbor master's office is set up for hybrid. Unfortunately, it's pretty small, but the city council standing committee meetings, as well as the health department, board of health, and the waterways have been meeting full hybrid at the harbor master's office. But when May rolls around, there's a divider that they put across that room to make way for the the transient folks. So it's going to make that room much smaller. So the goal now is, I believe, by the end of June, all the ones I listed, with the exception of the school facilities, should be ready to go full hybrid, or at least start with Kairos. But that would be the ideal. I mean, I've been getting mixed messages from the public. Why aren't people meeting in person? What are they hiding? And then, why are you meeting in Zoom? What are you hiding? You know what I mean? So people are going to be upset regardless of which way we go. So meaning if we do all Zoom or all in person. So until we're ready to go full hybrid, it's status quo, because I don't want why start an additional trauma that's not necessary. But it's full access is what I'm after. But we've had these meetings at City Hall discussing $130 million budget, and the place is empty. Talk about dog policy, and it's overflowing.
Right. Yeah, you would just think from out of convenience and it's more participatory to at least have the hybrid option.
Yeah, but I will say, I'm not going to say which boards or commissions, but some, I think it's important that they meet in person, for camaraderie, and you're a real person. You're not just a block on the screen like the Brady Bunch. And I've noticed some recent meetings where the same board met in person, and it was very collegial. And then a few days later, they met remotely, and it wasn't. So, and the previous city council never, it was all through COVID pretty much through that whole term. So they never really got the chance to gel in person, and so I hope that, once we get back to, I should clarify, once we get back to hybrid, my vision is that the board members are in person. It should be the exception that a member of the board is remote. It can't be, no, I'm just going to keep calling in. I just find that unacceptable. It's like this is the conveniences for the public to choose between in person or remote. The board really has to, unless there's some extreme circumstance, they should be in person as a group.
I think that's so interesting that you actually feel as if there's evidence that the city council didn't gel because they remained on Zoom. That particular group. That's really interesting.
Well, I mean, and I'll tell you, because it's not just the meeting. When I was on the city council, we'd finish a meeting and we'd go down to Stone's Pub after, and have a beer, and so you could be at the podium, the dais, and just be fighting, like cats and dogs about an issue. But once meeting's adjourned, you go down there and you're friends again.
Yeah, right. So interesting.
All right, well said, Mayor Verga. It was great checking in with you once again. Enjoy your April. I know it's a busy one, and we'll come back in about a month's time and see how you're doing.
All right, great. Talk to you guys later.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.